So I've been flooded with people offering rooms and sofas. So it's really fantastic how we've all come together, but it's at a cost.
Of course. What have people been saying this morning? What are people reflecting on?
I think people are in shock. People are angry. The refurbishment that you mentioned, I think, has played a big part in the fire, and it spread so rapidly. The plastic cladding was like paper. It just burnt straight through. And so people are angry and people want answers. There were many warnings. People raised their concerns and nothing was done about it. And it's our home community, and it might not matter so much to Westminster, but it matters to us. We're angry and sad.
And we hope as many people as possible have got out. Regrettably, we know not everybody has, but for those who have got out, clearly, just looking at that, they've lost everything. They've lost their home, they've lost their possessions.
Yeah.
What sort of help is going to be on offer for those people? As someone who's grown up here, do you think people will be doing what you're doing, opening up their doors, saying come and stay?
Absolutely. People have been amazing this morning. Really, I'm not the only one making lists of accommodation. People willing to give up their rooms and houses. Just community centres opening their doors, Westway Sports Centre closing to the public, but opening it up to people who've lost their homes and friends and everything. Yeah.
And I know you said to me you phoned your boss and you said you're not going into work today.
You're too
upset.
I want to stay here, and I don't know how much more I can help or what I can do to help, but I feel this is where I need to be right now. Yeah.
And I hope everybody that you know and love is safe this morning.
I believe so. It's not the time to check just yet. I think the time is just to use our positivity to help those in need. I'll check in due course. Yeah.
Well, Tasha, we hope as well that everyone is safe in your world. Thank you very much indeed. We wish you all the best to all your friends and family. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you. And Tasha's story, as she alluded to, is not unusual. I have been really struck by the number of groups of people I've walked past since we've been here in the last couple of hours who are trying to do their bit, trying to help. Lots and lots of people grabbing bottles of water, food, taking it around to people, offering it to the emergency services. I saw the police at one of the cordons around the corner. A lady turned up with an entire shopping trolley full of food and drink and just said, "This is for all of you, this is for anyone who's working so hard today, please just have everything in this trolley." Let's talk to our correspondent Helena Lee. Helena, explain where you are this morning and what you're hearing from the medics there.
Well, Jane, we are outside Chelsea and Westminster Hospital in West London. We're probably around 3 miles or so away from where you are, the location of that tower fire. Now, this is one of 5 hospitals which are treating over 50 patients. So in the early hours of this morning, some of those patients were brought here to Chelsea and Westminster Hospital. It's a busy London hospital. It's got an A&E department here, but crucially here, they've got a specialist burns unit. And so I'm told some of those who were more severely injured, who were suffering from pretty severe burns, would have been brought here to Chelsea and Westminster Hospital, and they've got dedicated burns specialists here to treat them. We don't know yet how many patients have been treated here at this hospital. However, the hospital has said that it will provide us with some more detail a bit later on today. But we know overall from London Ambulance that over 50 patients were taken to hospital. I suspect that number will probably rise as the hours go on throughout the day. There were advanced trauma teams sent to the scene as well as air ambulance in the early hours of this morning, and it will be very difficult in terms of treating those patients. But don't forget, these hospitals are well rehearsed, well used to dealing with major incidents, but still a very difficult situation in terms of the number of patients they've had to take in.
All right, Helena, thank you for that update, and I know you'll keep us up to date if the medics there give you any further information. Helena Lee at Chelsea and Westminster Hospital. If you are just joining us, worth reminding you, regrettably, that the Metropolitan Police this morning is saying that 6 people are known to have died here in this tower fire in the early hours of this morning. 6 people is what the Met is telling us at the moment, and they're saying, regrettably, they expect that number to rise. There are still emergency services, fire crews at the scene, at the base of the building on the other side of the tower. And of course, at the moment, the emphasis has to be as well on making the building structurally sound. It is 24 stories high, and we're in the Latimer Road area of West London, if you don't know the capital, just into the west of London. Let's talk to Graham Fieldhouse, who is has a specialism in fire safety, particularly, I think, Graham, in relation to social housing. Thank you so much for joining us. The one thing that we are hearing time and again here is just how quickly the fire spread. So I'm interested in what you make of that specific detail.
Hello? Hello?
Graham Fieldhouse, I'm hoping you can hear me. Good morning. You're through to BBC News. I was asking you what your thoughts were given how quickly the fire spread.
This is Niall Rowan here from the AFFP.
I'm so sorry, we've clearly got a problem. I hope we can talk to Graham shortly, because obviously with his specialism, he is absolutely someone we want to speak to as soon as we possibly can. Just worth pointing out with you, it's a grim scene to keep looking at, I know, but we have just seen in the last few minutes to the right of the tower block here, you'll see another fire, I would say perhaps midway up this block, 24-storey block. Very nearly midway over to the right-hand side, you will see a flat on fire there, and then over to the left-hand side of the tower block, the water jets, and I think that is the crane that our correspondent Vera Davis was talking about to me a few minutes ago, and that crane is being sent up again with the water jets. But the fact that this is still burning now, what are we, 11:30 in the morning, and this fire began at 5 to 1 this morning. That many hours later, there is still a fire in one side of the building there. An absolutely desperate scene, and it's a sight that nobody expects to see in this country in 2017. That is really what you take away from that. Let's hear from one eyewitness who spoke to Victoria Derbyshire a little earlier.
There was a sudden bang at the door just before 1, and when I went to investigate, and I was greeted by a smoke and some dark cloud.
So the bang at the door was someone knocking on your door to wake you up?
To alert us, and once I opened the door there was so much smoke, I shut the door right back. There was no one standing there because obviously the person attempted to knock further more doors, at which point I closed the door, got some towels, wet them. I alerted my wife down the corridor screaming, "There's fire, fire, get out." So we wetted up some towels, went into the kids' room, wrapped them and the towels over their heads, and proceeded to just exit the premises. Where it was is so dark and so much smoke was there. There was people running down the stairs. It was people, some people even had some luggages. It was just so much confusion. There was no sound of alarm or bells whatsoever.
Is there a fire alarm in Grenfell Tower?
Generally, there would have been a fire alarm that would go off in such incidents, but there was none. And, we only heard the alarm after 1:30 a.m. So this was like an actual fail in terms of safety measures that should have been in place to alert the residents.
So no fire alarm, but someone not banging on your door. You get your wife, you get your 2 young children.
I knocked also on a neighbour that was on my right-hand side, where I gave a good 2 kicks. Just kept running because at this point I didn't want the kids to be inhaling any more smoke. This is so dangerous. I didn't want to collapse in the middle of it. We had to make sure.
Could you, as you were trying to run down the stairs, how far ahead of you could you see? How dark was it?
It was too dark. It was too dark. You could barely, arm's length. The whole fire started off on the 4th floor, and I live on the 4th floor.
How do you know that?
Because once we were going down the stairs and we came to the ground floor, exiting the premises, I was confronted by my neighbour who lives at number 16. He said, look, are you okay? He was, checking me and the kids. I said, you all right? You okay? Is your wife out? Because I do know that his wife also resides in the premises. So I did show concern and I said, where is your wife? I haven't seen her. He said, no, it was just me. It was my house. My fridge exploded.
The guy who lives next door to you on the fourth floor said his fridge exploded.
He said his fridge exploded. At which point the fire brigade were well aware of it. The supervisors in, the senior fire brigades were also there when they took some statement or some sort of understanding from him and what was going on.
Mahad, sorry to interrupt. What time was that then? But what time was it when you got out at the bottom of your block of flats?
This is no later than 1:10. This is no later than 1:10.
And at that point, there was smoke on the fourth floor, down the stairwell. Clearly in your next door neighbour's flat.
Yep, it's going up to the 5th floor through the stairs. The doors were just open because people are just constantly going in and out.
One eyewitness talking to us here on BBC News just a little bit earlier this morning. I think we can now speak to Graham Fieldhouse, who we were trying to talk to just a few moments ago. He's a fire safety expert. Graham, I hope you can hear us okay from here in West London. Thank you very much for your thoughts this morning. And I'm particularly interested to talk to you given the number of people who are reporting just how quickly this fire took hold.
Yeah, well, firstly, condolences to those who have lost ones and those who have been affected by this. It's clear that the building had recently had cladding of an ACM cladding cassette put on the external parts of the building, which is quite clear from the pictures has certainly been the cause of the fire spread going up the side of the building. But there are a number of other areas of concern that one would need to raise, and that is, why did the escape routes within the means of escape get so quickly fire clogged? Why was smoke clogging happening there? Because the doors should have held back a fire from a fire within the flat. So people should have had at least half an hour to evacuate the building, and that doesn't seem to have happened here. There is a responsibility under Regulation 38 of Approved Document B for information about the fire, surface spread of fire of any cladding put on the external parts of a building should have been recorded there. So those are the sort of questions I'm sure that in the early days we're going to need to have to consider and look at. But this isn't something new. You have to remember when Lacknell happened in 2009, one of the issues, it wasn't the entire issue, but one of the issues was surface spread of fire. So it's nothing new. It's not a surprise that the potential for surface spread. Why has this happened? That's what we certainly want to be looking at.
Right. Okay, Graham. I mean, there's two specific points there that we definitely want to pick up on. Let's talk first of all specifically about the cladding. Now, you're saying, in your opinion, from the pictures you've looked at, that is the reason for the fire going up the side of the building. There will be people saying, if that is the case, why is it even used?
Well, certainly we'd want to know what cladding was used, what specification for the cladding was given, but a building doesn't travel up concrete, does it? So it's got to have travelled up something, and the cladding was there. So prima facie, the cladding has been the cause of the fire spread up the external parts of the building. There's been questions about, we should stick sprinkler systems in the blocks of flats, but whether that would have prevented the fire spreading the way it did up the side of the building, certainly sprinklers wouldn't have been on the external parts of the building. There's questions about the stay-put policy and people's understanding of a stay-put policy. A stay-put policy isn't you must stay. It's if you're affected by fire or smoke, get out. But you have to remember, I don't know this particular building that well myself, but if it's a singular staircase building, that's the same stairs that the fire brigade are trying to get up, and they will breach there at the fire, at one floor below the level of the fire, and then move up the stairs. They don't need hundreds of people coming down the stairs while they're trying to then fight the fire. But this is very unusual, the way that this fire has happened, and I'm sure a lot of people will need to look at what was the causation, what was the specification for the cladding that was put on, what checks were done, what information was got from fire safety experts on it, who was managing this project, what was happening. There's lots of questions, but also questions, why did the fire doors not do their job internally? Why did people not be able to get into the means of escape, which should have been compartmentalised areas like little shoe boxes, each of the flats should have been, and the fire should have stopped at the flat front door for at least half an hour. Why did that not happen? Why were people reporting that they come out of their flat moments after the fire started on the 4th floor, and I saw one news report, he was saying that it was already smoke-filled. Why did that happen? Were the fire doors working properly? FD30S doors, did they have overhead closers? Have they been checked recently? What was the causation for the smoke cladding? Those are the questions that I, as a fire safety expert, would want to be asking right now.
Right, an awful lot of questions there, and all of that makes absolute sense. I want a quick thought from you as well. You mentioned sprinklers. I know you're saying might not have made a difference anyway, but would it be obligatory in a block of this size to have sprinklers first of all, and is it obligatory to have fire alarms? Because it would seem extraordinary that you can have a 24-storey building and it's not absolutely fundamental that you have fire alarms on every floor.
No, the requirement